hear from the government parties or governing parties chief spokesperson Richard Ahiagba on this statement made by the former president. Mr. Ahiagba, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. Apparently, you have not only failed in the fight against galamsey, which is evident in the water bodies we are seeing still not looking good. You are also selective in your application of the rules, the claims made by former President Mahama, I mean the latter part of the claim.
Maru, very good evening to you and then to your listeners. I am shell-shocked about the revelation by the former president. If that is true, then he should provide evidence. And then that evidence should lead to the NDC fully engaged in galamsey. And this is very shocking. I think you should follow this. And I'm happy that you identified this fight began with your initiative, and your station has been key in promoting this fight against galamsey. So I'm shocked. Maybe we should try and talk to the former president to clarify what he means by that. But it cannot be true, absolutely not true, that His Excellency the President engaged, staked his presidency on fighting galamsey, will turn out to have a certain score of people doing galamsey who are described as NPP galamsey and NDC galamsey. I am shell-shocked about this. There is no such thing. The fight against galamsey is to end galamsey, because galamsey knows no difference amongst party colors to say that it is going to destroy the water bodies for the NPP people alone or for NDC people only. It's a menace that confronts us and affects us all equally. So I am not so sure what the former president knows, where he has this information from, and what proof he has to be able to validate this. And in any case, we should ask the former president, is he for the fight against galamsey, or he is opposed to the fight, in which case he's just crying for people he supposed are NDC galamseyers being affected. In other words, if people who are NDC are doing galamsey, he is okay with it. I am totally confused. In fact, Umaru, you know this, that under the former president regime, before they were voted out, they gave up on the fight against galamsey. Galamsey got to the height it got to where the president has to declare a state of emergency, more or less, and to try to bring this fight under control, because they did very little to prevent galamsey or to fight galamsey. So now it is becoming clear that under His Excellency the former president, he condoned galamsey, such that he knows who is NDC galamsey person, and therefore those people he feels are being affected. Today, the fight has no colors associated with it. We're fighting galamsey in all its forms by whoever is engaged in it. I'm so surprised that he has this information. Maybe he needs to give us evidence.
Let's see if we can get some evidence from his spokesperson. So kindly stay on the line for me, if you may. That's Richard Ahiagba, Director of Communication of the New Patriotic Party. Beatrice Annan is Deputy Spokesperson of the John Mahama campaign. Madam, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Good evening, Morris. Good evening to our cherished listeners.
Let me issue a disclaimer that because you are moving in the eastern region, the network may be a bit tricky, and so that should explain why we're having difficulties hearing you. But we'll manage with the little that we can from you. Richard Ahiagba, and I believe everybody else listening to the audio would want to know, what evidence do you have as a team, and indeed your boss has, that these people who were arrested, whose excavators were seized, are members of the National Democratic Congress?
So, first of all, let me correct on the erroneous impression that is being created by Richard Ahiagba.
Hello, madam? It's really bad. I would have to try and re-establish connection with her. That's Beatrice Annan. She's Deputy Spokesperson of the John Mahama campaign team. Richard, so while we try to re-establish connection to the eastern region where she's speaking to us from, The point is that we have seen the fight go low. This is a fight that the president had put his neck on the line for. Would you, in your own estimation, really see that you are living up to the fight that you promised Ghanaians ahead of 2020?
Well, Omar, when the president took control of this fight and was determined stake his presidency on it, with all the risk associated with it, he invited all of us to engage. So it's not a fight that singularly he's fighting. There's an open fight with a present invitation for all Ghanaians to engage in that fight. So it is not the president's fight. He's leading it all the same. So it means that all the approach, the strategy to contend it is open. There isn't anything in secrecy where there is an appearance of they are doing something we don't know about it. We all must engage. That mobilization must continue. And I don't think that the fight has actually lost momentum. It actually is ongoing, except the reporting on it has not been high up until this very controversial statement by the former president, which I think we should insist on evidence. But the fight has remained, and the president is still committed to it. People are working. I know the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources is engaged in this fight. They are focused on serious efforts to reclaim the lands that have been mined and left abandoned. They are reclaiming those. Afforestation is ongoing. So the fight is continuing on the front where we must stop people from galamseying, and then also in reclaiming the desecrated lands that have been left in the wake of galamsey. So the effort is still ongoing. Maybe the reporting is not at the height where it should be or has been, and so probably will appear that the fight is slowed down. But the fight is pretty much on. The momentum is there, and I think that all of us should continue to focus and continue to pay attention. The last I had a conversation about this, there was an instance where an individual, having visited those areas, returned saying that the waters are clearing. I have not been in the area to see for myself, but I think that there is some progress being made and the fight is still on. What we must be interested in now is that what the former president is saying is revealing that there are NDC people who are doing galamsey. He knows about it, they know them, and they encourage them to do it, but they are disappointed that the fight is successful. And Umaru, this is evidence to say to you that the fight is on, to say that NDC people are affected. I'm not sure how they determine that, but everybody or anybody who is engaged in galamsey today should be affected, because what they are doing is affecting us, and we should have an interest. It doesn't matter what party they associate with. So the former president should help us. Okay. If he knows people who he calls NPP galamseyers, he should tell us, because all of us are united in the fight against galamsey. But we want to know the NDC people that he says have been galamseying, that not only should their excavators be taken from them, but they must be prosecuted for endangering our collective future.
Let's try again to hear from the campaign spokesperson. Hopefully this time around the network would be kind to us. Madam Beatrice Annan, Deputy Spokesperson, Mahama campaign. If you can hear us, please make your submissions.
Thank you very much, Imaro. I'm sorry, we are currently moving to Suhu to meet the delegates, and so that's why the network is not stable. My apologies. But Umaru, I think that you owe the listeners an editorial obligation to correct a lot of the misconceptions Richard Ahiagba is churning out. Richard is no mean a person. And so when he's called by a very big platform like Citi FM to respond to something that the Pastor Mahama has said, he ought to listen or watch the video and watch it carefully. He cannot say what he pleases and respond to it. That is not what he's done. And Richard is no mean a person than the communications director of the ruling government. And so you should not allow Richard to say the things he says. But having said that...
What has he said? What has he said that you're taking so much offense?
Richard said that Pastor Mahama in speaking appears to know some NDC people who are engaged in galamsey, and so he ought to tell us who they are. I mean, I believe that your producer sent him the video, and so he knows what we are talking about.
Didn't the former president say that?
No. What the former president said was that until the NPP came into power, small-scale mining has been something that every Ghanaian, irrespective of your political color, was allowed to engage in, which is not illegal because the law permits Ghanaians to engage in small-scale mining. And then when the NPP came to power, they have politicized small-scale mining. They have taken the licenses and concessions of Ghanaians, and they have in turn made it a partisan matter, so that if you were a small-scale miner today, there is a 90% probability that you were a member of the NPP, which is not good. The President Mahama also made the point that even where excavators of galamsey operators were seen, they were returned to NPP people to use it. And Richard is asking for evidence. So the chairman of the interministerial committee that the NPP set up, who is Professor Frimpong Boaku, said that there are people at the Flagstaff House who are engaged in galamsey. But having said this, Omaro, it is important that when we are talking about small-scale mining, we make a distinction between that and galamsey. Small-scale mining is a legal mining reserved for citizens. Galamsey is an illegal mining. And what the President Mahama was talking about in addressing delegates was that all citizens, whether CPP, whether NPP, whether NDC, who were engaged in illegal mining, their concessions were taken away and now given to the NPP people. And let me give you one example. If anybody is engaged in illegal mining, it will be NPP Ashanti Regional Chairman, who is Chairman Wuntumi, in the Akunta mining incident, where the president became the spokesperson for the campaign, and as usual, in his clearing agent's manner, cleared the company of any wrongdoing, even though the ministry had said that preliminary investigations were being conducted. And so, Richard should not muddy the waters. He has to separate what galamsey operations are from small-scale mining. It is a shame.
Okay. Beatrice, if you could kindly indulge me, I think it would be fair to play the former president's soundbite again.
Please do.
Yeah, because you have taken issue with some of the comments Richard made, which comments I thought were extracted from what the audio said. But
so
since you are... Yes, so if you kindly indulge me, and Richard also kindly indulge me, let me just play that audio again for my listeners and yourselves.
So when you MPP, now you show so why you galamsey, near do ako jina court, near do ako to ifiase. Make us say your father need be eda ifiase. Ezu obi kuta ni excavator. Near say all the year illegal mining, near jail from some. And she now measure excavator no, na MPP ni edi ye juma. Ezu yentina bi asesa. Yentina bi asesa. Yeyina ye Ghana for. Yeyina e was saying na yedi oman emfa so. And so say dem kai bibia wo na wie ye. En sakra e ba. Ezu NDC apenso na cement bottle back e 26 cedis. And then so the 100 cedis.
Madam Beatrice, I think if I heard clearly, the former president used the word galamsey in his submission. He said some of our young men who are, when they engage in galamsey, because they are not NDC, they are arrested and prosecuted. He used the word galamsey, not small-scale mining.
listen to the audio with you. I speak impeccable Chi like he speaks. What the President Mahama said is that, first of all,
you didn't hear the former president say galamsey? That's not English. That's...
No, he said, yes, so he said galamsey. He said that.
Oh, because you denied that he said galamsey. He was talking about small-scale mining. So I'm trying to get you to...
Don't confuse the issue. First of all, I'm saying that Richard should separate the two issues. That when the President Mahama spoke, he said that people who were engaged in small-scale mining...
No, engaging in galamsey. He said galamsey.
No, wait. You take your time. I'm beginning the video. I want to journey it with you. People who were...
Okay, let's journey it together then, shall we? I would happily play it 10 seconds by 10 seconds so that we do the journey together. So let's play it again. Let's play... No, madam.
Umaru, listen to me.
I'm listening to you.
Then when you listen... So I'm building a point. The point I'm building is that, first of all, President Mahama spoke about people who were engaged in small-scale mining. And then he went on to say that even young people, hello?
I'm listening to you.
So, and he even went on to say that even young people who were engaged in galamsey, so there are two different things. And that's the point I was making to you, that there are people who are engaged in small-scale mining, which is legal, and that there are people who are engaged in galamsey, which is an illegal phenomenon. And he was saying that with the people who were engaged in the small-scale mining, it is immaterial of what your party colors are. As long as you qualified, you were allowed to do the small-scale mining. However, young people who were engaged in galamsey, which is mining, whose excavators are seized because they are engaged in illegal mining, these excavators are instead given to NPP people to engage in the same illegal mining. That is the statement he made. So first of all, let us establish that the full audio, this is the statement.
Okay.
Now we can go on to interrogate what the statement is about.
That's fine.
That was the point I wanted to make.
Thank you. Please, I'm grateful you made that submission. So allow me now to again play the beginning of the audio. Just the part that I talked about galamsey. So this, he said, everything has its end. Change would come, correct? Next. Some of our young men, if they are arrested for engaging in galamsey, if they are not NDC, then they take you to court. And then they go and jail you. That is what he has said. I mean, that is not minced words. So I'm still trying to understand where you are mentioning the part about small scale miners, because he specifically said some of our young people who engage in galamsey, they are arrested because they are an NDC, brought before court and sent to jail. That is as simple as it can be put.
First of all, let me say that in the statement President Mahama made, nowhere did he endorse galamsey.
He has by calling some of his young people galamseyers. He has called them that.
No, that is not it. President Mahama is saying that when it comes to the application of the law on illegal mining,
you tell me about that part, but do you admit that what I have just translated now, having been a great tree speaker like you said, that is an accurate translation of what the former president said?
No, but yes, the former president said when people are engaged...
Not people. Mining, he didn't say people. He said our young people.
Yes, our young people.
Good. So I want to be sure that the translation I give to my audience is acceptable to you.
Ghanaian, yes, every young Ghanaian in Ghana.
No, he didn't say that. He did, Madam.
Every young
Madam
Ghanaian.
Beatrice Annan, I mean, let's try and get this conversation on track.
Yes,
Madam Beatrice, yes.
Yankala, what is the meaning of Yankala?
Our young people, or our children, or our youth, or our people.
Our young people.
But why Nkwala, NDC for Nkwala? That's what he's talking to an NDC group. Because if he hadn't mentioned NPP in the conversation, I would have said he was talking about Ghana youth. But he said...
So President Mahama has spoken. You have called me as a spokesperson to tell you the meaning of what President Mahama has said.
No, not the meaning. Half of the meaning is clear to us because he spoke and we understood.
Yes.
The implication is what we want to do the analysis of. But you are failing to admit what he said, which is audible for everyone to hear.
I am not failing. Umaru, if you allow me to make my point, I am not failing to admit what President Mahama said.
So do you admit that former President Mahama said that...
I am telling you that what President Mahama said is that young people in this country, when they are engaged in galamsey, they are not punished as citizens. They are punished on the basis of political party lines. And so if you were an NPP person engaged in galamsey, you were guaranteed that you will have protection against the law. That is what President Mahama is saying. Whether you are NDC or you are NPP or you are CPP, when you engage in illegal mining, you ought to be punished and be made to face the full rigors of the law. But if you have an instance such as we have today, that because you are a regional chairman of the NPP, when you are engaged in illegal mining and shooting, you can go scot-free. But if you are not partisan or you are not NPP, you will be punished. That cannot be a fight against galamsey.
Okay.
That would empower just a section of the Ghanaian people who are politically affiliated to the NPP to engage in galamsey. And that is why you are seeing that the issue of galamsey today is not something the NPP can manage.
All right. Now, that's why people like Richard Ahiagba, who is on the other line, has asked the question. It means then that former President Mahama knows people who engage in galamsey, and he knows the NDC ones and the NPP ones. Can he kindly give us a list of the NPP ones who have been released and also supply the state authorities with the NDC ones who are engaging in galamsey so that they can be arrested and properly prosecuted? Can he provide that list?
Okay, so a typical list is Akunta Mining, which engage in galamsey, and we are told that they don't have the license to operate in the manner they are operating. That is a classical example. A typical list is the list of the people that Professor Shrimpong Watson mentioned by reason of a privileged information he had as a minister and the chairman of the interministerial committee. That is a typical list. A typical list are the videos of people who were taking bribes in their attempt to fight galamsey, which the president became a clearing agent and cleared them. So let's not pretend that unless we present to you a full list, the people we have, even the little you have in the media, the little you and I know that we have watched in the full glare of the public, nothing has been done about it. So maybe we should start with the basics. Maybe we should start with the executives of the NPP who are engaged in the illegal mining.
Okay. Please let me ask Richard Ahiagba if you've satisfied him, because he raised a series of questions which you have answered. So
and Omaru, before you ask Richard, let me say that it is instructive to say that the fight for galamsey under the NPP has been lost. In fact, there is no such a thing as a fight against galamsey. Omaru, recently, the government used a whopping 10 million cedis to organize what they call a sensitization program to fight galamsey. A whopping 10 million cedis. Where are we? Recently, shamelessly, the Deputy Minister of Lands and Natural Resources presented images of rivers, which we are being told that were being restored to the original state and they were becoming clear. Only for some of your sister stations and a journalist like Erasmus Asaredonko should fact check, and it came out that these were all fabricated.
All right.
And so until and unless we talk about the galamsey issue devoid of partisanship, like what President you give me a list and an evidence, we cannot do anything.
Okay.
They should go back to the basics. They should take their people who are engaged in galamsey away and let us get to do the right thing. Because we are being told by the Ghana Water Company that if we don't stop what we are doing and continue in the manner that the NPP is doing, we will be importing water.
All right.
By 2030.
Madam, just before I go to Richard Hagba, a member of the NPP communications team at the Jubilee House, P.K. Sapon, has sent me a message drawing my attention to the fact that the national women's organizer of the NPP, Kejimfua, had some of her excavators seized and burnt for suspected galamsey activities. Would that suffice as prosecuting one of their own? Would that satisfy you?
Why not?
Okay.
Why not?
That's fine. So it means that they are doing something internally then.
So it is not just Madame Jimfua's excavators we should be talking about. We should be asking of the whereabouts of the over 500 excavators we are told were seized.
Okay.
Because you cannot tell me that you are fighting galamsey, and then when you get the very equipment that are used for fighting galamsey, some way, somehow they find wings and they slide back onto the field.
Very well.
We can all pretend about it.
Let me go back to Richard. Richard, so Beatrice has explained what the former president said or the implications of what he said. Does that satisfy you?
Beatrice is my friend, so it was like a really harsh baptism for her this evening to have to speak to this issue. I'll cut her a lot of slack. She needs to wake up and smell the coffee. What her boss said completely misspoke. If he didn't mean to say that, that was exactly what he said. He's promoting galamsey, and that's just what it is. You can't color this. You can't find it for anybody. You can't give anybody any new meaning of what he said. We are clear in hearing what he said. So I think that Beatrice is Assis. She's done her best to kind of pushing over the thing and paint some picture, but obviously it's a poor statement, and we'll leave it at that. The former president, for me, I know is well-intentioned, but for political purposes, these things he's saying is dangerous. In 2020 election, if Beatrice doesn't know, her party went about, led by Kukubuahi, the former deputy communication officer of her party, went about in the galamsey areas, telling them on video, that when they come, they are going to open up the space for them to galamsey. So essentially, that's the campaign they are doing again. Going around in galamsey areas, telling them, enabling them that, yes, vote for us when we come, we'll allow you to galamsey. That's such a dangerous thing they are doing. So Beatrice, you're a good friend. Don't be defending these things. When these issues come, just decline. Don't accept the call, because this is subject to our collective destiny being vanquished by a few people for their personal interest. We cannot support this. Politically, we cannot rally around this and make it a good cause or make it a political thing. Let's win and then we'll deal with it. No. So please, the issue is clear. We cannot do politics about it. Let's be clear in our minds that what he said was unacceptable. And I know the former president is well-intentioned, but he's just doing politics. Beatrice, you can accept that. And then just say that, well, that was not exactly what he meant to say, but not to try and explain the language he spoke, which we clearly understood. Omaro, I think we'll leave it here and let Ghanaians judge to say that as a political party, the NDC is a promoter of galamsey. In 2020, we saw them. There are videos of Kokubuahi and leading persons in their campaign who went about telling galamseyers that please vote for us when we come. We'll allow you to galamsey. That is in poor taste. That is unpatriotic. That is unacceptable. Let's say that the NDC supports galamsey and they are willing to leverage galamsey for political power. It's unacceptable, it's repugnant, and we should call it for what it is.
Thank you so much, Richard Ahiagba, is Director of Communication of the New Patriotic Party. Let's conclude with Beatrice. Madam Beatrice, so is it a position of the NDC and for that matter, John Mahama's campaign, that when or if he is elected and becomes president again, he's going to free up NDC members who he believes are locked up because they are NDC members for engaging in galamsey? And would he allow galamsey to thrive? What would be the position of the former president on galamsey moving forward?
So thank you very much, Umaru. Now, let me say that the position of the former president is that galamsey will remain illegal. The position of the former president will not be like the current president who has empowered and is an ambassador to his party executives who are engaged in illegal mining. And anytime even one person like Professor Frimpong Boateng exposes them that some of the corruption they were engaged in their quest to supposedly fight galamsey was because party Africa. President Mahama will not fire those who want to fight galamsey. It is also instructive to see that in our 2020 manifesto, the NDC was the first political party to boldly say that we would make sure that galamsey or small-scale mining is regularized. People who are engaged in galamsey and they refuse to go according to the regulatory framework and acceptable practices will be punished. And so this cannot be a debate as to what the NDC would do. It is also instructive to conclude by saying that President Mahama, when he was president, did not give Chinese pass like we saw this government give to Aisha Wan under the guise of we need money from China. Under the NDC, more than 5,000 illegal Chinese operators were deported, and a simple Google search will reveal this. And so when it comes to who has the real commitment and not just talk to pretend to be fighting galamsey, I think the NDC has demonstrated a greater commitment. The NDC has not politicized or reduced the fight to galamsey to unnecessary partisanship. The NDC has not sought to spin people's words in order to equalize and make it look as if others are failing, then let's draw others in. And so the commitment of President Mahama and the NDC in fighting galamsey is clear. Finally, what President Mahama was assuring everybody is that justice would not only be done, it will be manifestly seen to be done. So that irrespective of your political party, if you have valid licenses and concessions to operate a small-scale mining, you will be allowed to. If you do not have and you are operating an illegal mining, you will be dealt with in accordance with law and not because of what your party affiliations are. And I think that this has to be made clear.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, Madam Beatrice Annan.